All right, welcome everyone to the Fox Local Stream. I'm Marla Tellez here at Fox 11 in Los Angeles, just after 6:30, and we're talking about the role of the state insurance commissioner. It may not sound major, but it really is. This person is in charge of regulating the nation's largest insurance market, enforcing insurance laws, licensing companies and agents, protecting consumers from unfair rates and practices, and it investigates fraud as well. Patrick Wolff joins me now in studio. He is running to be the next state insurance commissioner. He, of course, wants your vote. Hi, good to have you.
Thanks, Marla.
Congratulations on your campaign.
Thank you.
We're, I think, about 49 days away until the June 2nd primary. Let's just start with the basics. For people who are not familiar with Patrick Wolff, who are you?
So let's see. I'm Patrick Wolff, running for California Insurance Commissioner. I've lived in San Francisco with my wife for over 20 years. Our two kids are born and raised there. Our son's at college. Our daughter's about to go off to college. I have a 25-year business and financial career where I've spent a lot of time working in insurance. Early in my career, from 2001 to 2005, I spent 4 years at a major bank where my job was to build an auto and home insurance brokerage business. So I spent 4 years really with hands-on experience with customers, with carriers, really getting to know how the market operates. And then I became a financial analyst, and for the last 20 years I've worked as a financial analyst analyzing and investing in companies and markets, including insurance. So I've invested in insurance companies, analyzed insurance bank balance sheets, analyzed insurance markets, and so I have that experience. And I've also been very involved in state and local politics over the last 9 years, lifelong Democrat. And so I got much more involved since 2017 in a number of different things. And it was last year, early last year, when of course these horrible fires happened, that because of my background, I was really drawn to really taking a close look at the insurance markets in California, and I really came to understand, just as you were saying at the top, how important this role is, and quite frankly, how mismanaged our insurance regulation has been, and how much of an opportunity there is really to serve and to do something that could really make a difference, and so that's why I'm stepping up.
And I think a lot more people will pay attention to this role now because of the deadly and devastating wildfires that we saw in January, and there were unfortunately, a couple of other horrible fires that predated the 2025,
Absolutely.
Right? And that got people to pay attention. So here we are. You talk about it being mismanaged. What is specifically mismanaged in the office, and how do you make that better?
Well, my approach is centered around three big ideas. One is holding insurance companies accountable. And so I want to, and I will, when elected, publish a report card on every single insurance company using information that already exists at the Department of Insurance that tells you, if you're shopping for insurance or looking to renew just regularly in the market, how well each insurance company is doing, has done paying claims. I think one of the things that many people have really come to realize with this horrible experience is that there is a big difference between different insurance companies. We need to have that information. That's number one, holding insurance companies accountable. Number two, increasing choice and competition. We are suffering from not having nearly enough insurance companies operating in the state of California. And one of the big problems we have is we have way too much red tape getting in the way of allowing insurance companies to come to market with competitive offerings. In most states, it takes about 60 days for an insurance company to file what's called a rate or product review, so the Department of Insurance reviews that, analyzes it, and approves it. It takes 60 days in most states. Here in California, it takes 300 days.
So 2 months versus almost an entire year.
2 months versus almost an entire year. And then the third thing, so we said holding insurance companies accountable, increasing choice and competition, and third, improving transparency. I want to publish an annual report telling the people of California how our insurance markets are doing in terms of price, in terms of availability, in terms of service. We don't have that information. We should have that information. We need to hold ourselves accountable for doing a much better job, holding the Department of Insurance accountable, not just for good intentions, but for actual results.
How would you have handled it if you were the current insurance commissioner? Ricardo Lara, by the way, is that current insurance commissioner. He is termed out, so he cannot seek re-election. The fact that LA County launched an investigation into State Farm for really slow response, for denials on legitimate wildfire claims. I interviewed victims who are still out of their homes, still haven't received a penny from, say, the Eaton fire. And here we are, more than a year out since then. How would you have handled that? Do you agree with the investigation that was launched into State Farm? How would you have responded to State Farm?
So, first thing I want to say is I have heard similar things from people that I've spoken to, a lot of anger and frustration. Look, obviously it's horrible to lose your home, horrible to go through this process of needing to work with the insurance company to get that restored. Some people have had much better experiences with other insurance companies. Many people have reported they've had a bad experience with State Farm. So
and by the way, we should point out that State Farm is the largest insurer in the state.
Yes, it is. So the second thing I want to say is I do agree with launching that investigation. Of course, from the outside, I can't say, sort of what should be found in that, but I do agree with launching that investigation. But the third thing I really want to get into is I think most people don't realize it's bad regulation that got us into the situation that we became so reliant on State Farm, and State Farm became in a situation where it became such a bad actor. And if I can just take a minute, let me lay it out for you. In 2017 and 2018, we had, as you were saying earlier, horrible fires, right? And after those fires, insurance companies realized that the risk of catastrophic wildfire was greater than they had understood beforehand. They said, we have to adjust our models. And the Department of Insurance said, we're not going to allow you to do that. And the insurance company said, well, then we can't operate in the state of California. And they started to leave. And that's when the FAIR plan started to explode in size. And I'm sure you know, Marla, many of your viewers know, the FAIR plan is that insurance plan of last resort is never supposed to be what we rely on.
Doled out by the state.
Yeah, or at least mandated by the state,
right,
and run by a board appointed by insurance companies. It's never supposed to be what it's become. Well, that FAIR plan started really growing. That was a red flag all by itself. State Farm was the one insurance company that stepped in and really started writing a lot more insurance policies. And first of all, it was a mistake for the Department of Insurance to allow our insurance market to get so unhealthy with so many companies leaving, relying so much on the FAIR plan. But secondly, our insurance department did not make the parent company of State Farm backstop what's called the subsidiary that operates in the state of California. So the State Farm that operates in the state of California, and I apologize, I do bring a numbers perspective on this and could be very useful in a situation like this, because I understood that the State Farm that operates in California is kind of basically a P.O. box. It's a legal trick to basically protect State Farm, the parent, if State Farm operating in California gets into financial trouble. Well, guess what? State Farm in California got into financial trouble after these terrible fires. And it's because State Farm's back is up against the wall that they've been nickel and diming their customers and turning around and demanding an emergency rate hike.
Right.
And the whole thing comes back to bad regulation to allow us to get in this situation in the first place.
So how do you fix that as insurance commissioner?
Well, you fix it by doing a much better job of holding insurance companies accountable and doing a much better job of increasing choice and competition. We should never have to rely on one insurance company. That's crazy. We want to have lots of insurance companies competing for our business. But when that happens, the customer has to be empowered. So that competition works for our benefit.
How do you balance keeping insurance affordable with keeping companies solvent?
So insurance companies need to underwrite at an economic rate, right? So like you need to price the risk appropriately. You don't want insurance companies gouging customers. You don't want insurance companies taking advantage of customers. So you have to make sure you've got really robust competition, and you've got to make sure you're empowering customers. And if you do that, then the pricing is reasonable and fair. And then what you've got to do at the same time is you've got to go in and reduce the risk to reduce the cost. So there are things that we can do to much better align the underwriting of insurance companies with the guidance that homeowners are given, so they can take those actions to reduce risk at the local level, and the Department of Insurance should then be helping the homeowners to take those actions. So homeowners know what they need to do, they get credit from insurance companies, and they get help from the Department of Insurance. all of that will help reduce the risk at the home and the community level.
Do you support stricter regulation on rate hikes? Why or why not?
I don't think of it in terms of stricter regulation. I think of it in terms of we need to cut the red tape to allow for much more rapid review of normal standard insurance company filings, and we need to reserve strict review for those special cases that need it. For example, that State Farm quote-unquote emergency rate hike, that's definitely a case that needs really strict review, and I'm glad that that review happened, and I'm glad that they pushed them down as much as possible. But we shouldn't be relying on that. We should have a healthy, competitive market, so normally the insurance companies can just come and do business, and then we're also holding them accountable and empowering customers.
You are elected a state insurance commissioner. Your first 100 days, what do you do to help the Californians struggling with the skyrocketing home insurance prices?
Well, the first thing that I do when I'm elected insurance commissioner, I mean, of course, first I want to hire folks because you get to hire a small group of people to come in, senior people. The first thing I intend to do is I intend to go in and really listen to the people at the Department of Insurance. Look, I've been talking for a long time. I have my views. There's a lot more months left if I get through the primary into the general. I'll be saying a lot of things. I want to walk into that building. There's 3 offices up and down the state. I want to walk into those offices and really get to know the people, really hear what they have to tell me and learn from their experiences. And then I want to work together to put forward those policies that I have been describing for you in terms of making it much easier for insurance companies to come to market, in terms of doing a much better job holding them accountable. I can't say whether it's 50 days or 100 days or 200 days, but I am very confident that well within the first 4 years, I think within the first 2 to 3 years, we can have a healthy, competitive market where pricing is fair and where customers are empowered, and we can be working our way down to reduce the risk so we bring the cost down and reduce the damage from these horrible, terrible fires.
How do you get the insurance companies to come back to California given the wildfire risk?
So the great thing is we are by far the largest state in the country.
Yep.
We are a giant market, right? Look, every company does business because they can make some kind of business, some kind of profit doing it. That's fine. I want insurance companies to be able to do business in California. I just only want them to be able to do business fairly and reasonably. And if you make those rules clear and you say, look, we're going to give you the reasonable certainty that you need to be able to operate, but we're going to hold you accountable. And we're going to make sure people know what kind of a job you're doing. If you're not doing a good job, you're going to suffer in the marketplace. Companies will come here. Companies absolutely want to come to California. They can't stay away. Our state is way too big. There's way too much to do here. We just need to create the conditions for that.
Our current insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, he's under investigation for improperly spending taxpayer dollars, for instance.
Yeah.
Those are the allegations. For residents, for voters who are soured on politicians and are distrustful, how do you make them trust you? How do you regain their trust? What is your message to them?
Well, first of all, I can't make anybody trust me. I have to earn people's trust, and I intend to do that. I am not running to launch a political career. I've never run for elected office before. I will not run for any other elected office except insurance commissioner if I'm elected insurance commissioner. I'm not doing this to launch a political career. I'm doing this to do the job. I'm taking no money from insurance companies, and I will accept no corporate gifts. I don't want to say anything about Ricardo Lara, the current insurance commissioner,
right,
but I think it is fair to say that we need to project a much better image and earn the trust of the people. My whole ambition here, I think this is the opportunity of a lifetime to serve, and I would be honored to have that opportunity. And I want to earn that trust and project that I am here just to do the job and for no other reason. As I like to say, box lunches in the office are just fine for me. I don't need to go out anywhere or take fancy trips.
I like that. I think a lot of people can appreciate that. This is one of those positions that you just said for yourself is you've never run for elected office. So for people who are a little leery of that you may not have the political experience, your response?
Well, we have spent years and years electing politicians, often termed out state legislators, with absolutely no insurance experience or expertise. And my campaign is based on the radical idea that the insurance commissioner should have deep insurance experience and expertise. And I say, let's give that a try. What we've been doing hasn't been working.
Yeah, and we're seeing images from your website. So you are from San Francisco.
Yeah, or at least I was born in the East Coast, but I've, yes,
we can hear
met
a
my
little bit of the
wife,
accent.
raised our kids.
Yeah. So you currently call San Francisco home.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then to that point, a wolf on your side. I like that.
Thank you.
Play on words. We were off the top of the interview, we were showing your campaign video.
Yep.
And I think that is the theme, what you just touched on there.
Yes.
About having experience. Explain what's going on here.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun making this video. So we have me in the roles of a pilot, of a dentist, of a shipboat captain. By the way, if you're ever in an airplane and I'm the pilot, you should disembark right away. I'm just telling you now. But we had a lot of fun making this, and of course the whole point is don't hire me for those jobs. Look, my opponents have no insurance experience. You shouldn't hire them for this job. Hire someone with insurance experience, with 25 years of business and financial experience to be insurance commissioner. That's me. And I'd be honored to serve, and I would love your vote.
And I think I saw you as dad in one of those pictures there too on your website.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is Patrick Wolff outside of his financial analyst role like? What do you like to do?
Well, I've been married for, we're now in 24 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Our son is a sophomore at college. Our daughter is a senior at high school. She'll be leaving to go to college just in a couple of months.
Oh, you'll be empty nesters.
We'll be empty nesters. My wife very, very much supports my embarking on this adventure and hopefully taking on this terrific challenge. We have 2 cats at home, which we love very much. And a fun fact about me is when I was much younger, when I was in my teens and my 20s, I was a very serious chess player. As a matter of fact, I was U.S. chess champion twice in 1992 and 1995.
Oh.
That was years ago. It's been many, many years since I played chess seriously, but it's a lot of fun for me to see how much people enjoy the game and how popular it's become now.
Well, let me just ask you that, because chess is all about strategy.
Sure.
So how would you equate your ability to play chess to being able to be a state insurance commissioner?
Well, the first thing I would say is I have 25 years of business and financial experience in insurance, and that's why I'm running for this job, not that I used to be a pretty good chess player. But I will say that I became national champion twice at a game that's very intellectual, very combative, where you really have to work hard and fight hard, and I'm going to bring those qualities to the job of insurance commissioner.
All right, well, he is Patrick Wolff. You saw his website there, patrickwolff.com. 2 F's there, and you can cast your vote in the California primary on June 2nd. It was a pleasure to meet you and talk to you.
Very nice to meet you, Marla. Thank you so much.
Thanks for stopping by Fox 11 and being here with me live on the Fox Local Stream.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. That's awesome.
That's great.